It doesn't look like it in this peaceful paradise, but there's been a revolution here. A decade ago, some overcooked mutton and soggy veg and a bottle of beer were considered a meal. Now it's a gourmet's dream with a cappuccino on every corner. And I want to taste some of those wines that are startling the world and food that is the envy of the South Pacific in settings that are over the top, which is why I've come to New Zealand. New Zealand was one of the last places on this planet to be discovered. It's been seen as isolated and colonial. You know, turn your watch back 7 hours one day and 50 years when you arrive. I don't think many people had New Zealand high on their list of luxury getaways. But now this small and spectacular country of 4 million people is the epitome of high-end travel. What better place to seek pleasure and extravagance than by combining what is unbeatable about New Zealand, their sense of adventure and their breathtaking views. This is the greatest thing to do. It's so beautiful up here. The sun is just peeking up over the mountains above Queenstown. Hugh McLennan is the pilot for Sunrise Balloons. How high are we going to go?
I'm not sure yet. We're 8,000 yesterday, 9,000 the day before, so really? Weather's been pretty good.
So we've got people in the balloon. Julie's from England. We've got some people from Singapore. We've got a family from Denmark. Just sort of stuffed in this little balloon.
There you go, 7,360 feet at the moment, still climbing.
Mount Cook is the highest mountain in New Zealand.
12,300. Wow. You just see it coming up there now, right in the background, just above a little sharp peak in the foreground, just up to the right of it.
The best part of hot air ballooning, though, is how silent it is. We're almost ready for touchdown. You? That was awesome.
We haven't done it yet.
You're the man. Well, we have to get the balloon off here. That is so cool.
Nice one. Catch it. Got it.
Lovely. Well, thank God. Ballooning started in France, so it has such a civilized tradition to end with.
Cheers.
But you're not going to get better scenery than in New Zealand.
I agree.
That was
I agree.
Ultimate. Unbelievable.
Cheers, guys.
Now, the French have been making the best champagne and wine in the world for centuries. But when a New Zealand wine named Cloudy Bay won a big international award in 1985, no one could believe it. But Kiwi wine was no joke, and the aftershocks are still being felt. The New Zealand gastronomic revolution began in the brand new vineyards, and I wanted to see where it started. You really are in the middle of nowhere. But this is central Otago, which is the southernmost grape-growing area in the world, and it's one of the places the very hot New Zealand wines are being grown, particularly the Pinots. So, taking this tour, fly, wine, dine. So we've done the flying. Soon we're going to do the wining, and then after that we'll do the dining. The highlight of this tour is to see where the grapes are grown and the wines are made. Matt Dicey is the winemaker at Mount Difficulty Wineries in central Otago. One of the young pups who's, believes in this area, which, so new.
It is so new. Realistically, we've only been going since the early 90s. So we've sort of been here for about 15 years now. The firm belief is that we can make great wine here. We can make really great wine. And I mean, the focus is predominantly Pinot Noir, but also other sort of cool climate white varietals, Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Gris, a little bit of Chardonnay.
There must have been lots of people who just thought you were insane to come to, this is where the gold miners, I guess, were.
Yeah, absolutely. In the 1860s, you can see the gold mining above us. And even today, that gold mining heritage plays a huge role because, I mean, these vineyards are actually irrigated from water races that were dug by sort of Chinese miners back in the 1860s.
You grew up here. Can you get over what's happened here in the past decade?
No. I mean, the whole scene here is so vibrant. I mean, it's not just the wine. The food has changed so much in the last 10 years. If you'd done this 10 years ago, you'd be lucky to get much more than sort of pie and spuds or something like that.
And plonk.
Yeah, plonk. yeah, and not sort of really interesting. So, I mean, the whole culture in New Zealand has evolved so quickly. And it is continuing to evolve so quickly. The whole food culture is really finding its feet, and it's really interesting to go overseas and see what's going on there and come back and just be amazed at how quickly New Zealand's gone from that sort of pie and mashed spuds and plonk to having phenomenal food, great wines, and just watching everybody sort of starting to really gel as a culture. It's been really amazing.
So what's the dream? Would you love to create a Pinot that sometimes some winemaker from Burgundy has a sip in 20 years and starts to cry? So you take over the world?
I don't know that it's about world domination, but certainly sort of making a wine that's reflective of where it's grown. That would be awesome. Okay, Valerie, you ready to try a Riesling?
I'm ready to try anything your vines produce.
Cheers.
Who would have thought? Way down here.
And what we really do well is like a real purity of fruit. So we were looking for fruit purity, Central Otago fruit purity.
That's good.
It's amazing to think this used to be gold mining land. I guess, in a way, it still is. It's just liquid gold.
This is the historic old town of Cromwell, which has been lovingly preserved, a testament to when this was a gold mining town. It was 1862 about. Two guys, Hartley and O'Reilly, Irish Americans, came here from the gold rush in California. They found gold just around the bend in the river. They took out 84 pounds of it before they bothered telling anyone else that it was here. Now this region is known for its wonderful wines. Just like so many places in New Zealand, there is a great cafe on every corner.
This is how the Kiwi culinary revolution has progressed. Wine,
Cheers.
cappuccino. How about lunch?
Well, this is the way Fly Wine and Dine ends. You dine at the Amasfield Winery and Bistro, which is actually one of the great restaurants in New Zealand. Philip Green's been touring me around all day, now pouring a nice dry Riesling, which from Amasfield, which is fabulous. We're eating, this is called the chef's choice. He just makes all this fantastic food. And then we go, thank you, Sarah.
Pleasure.
Who is that, lamb?
That is rib eye.
Rib eye.
With mint and lemon.
That's fantastic.
Enjoy, folks.
Thank you. I will. Fabulous, thank you, cheers. I clink glasses no matter what happens. Arrowtown is the prettiest and the most charming of the old gold rush towns in central Otago. It's about 20 minutes from Queenstown, but it's got all the cool shops, and it's also got Saffron, which, when it opened, was voted one of the top 100 new restaurants in the world.
Pete Gavron is the owner and chef at Saffron. He's an Aussie who moved here 10 years ago to raise his family in God's country.
Obviously the food is so good you can't even resist your own cooking. But this is scampi?
This is scampi from the Auckland Islands, which is about as far south as you can go in New Zealand. There's nothing between the Auckland Islands and the Antarctic. As a consequence of that, I'm sure that's the reason that these are so good, because the water's really cold. And
I thought it would be the way that you cook them.
well, look, I've got a great recipe for this, but at the end of the day, I think when, like a lot of cooking, if you've got a great product to start with, You know, it's 9/10 of it, and this is particularly good as you'll find anywhere in the world.
Do you use mostly local stuff, New Zealand stuff?
Almost entirely. It's just around the corner.
Just around the corner from here.
It's been extraordinary. There's been this explosion of produce, you know, and availability.
Pete had me sample some of his favorite local olive oils.
Here it is, the ski town, the old mining town, and you think of what's happened.
I suppose you're used to beautiful views in Canada too. But
Nothing like this.
Nothing like this in Australia. Absolutely nada. And people come here and they just fall in love with it. And to be able to, to be a restaurateur in a place this beautiful is pretty special. Yeah, these are called whitebait, and in New Zealand, the people go absolutely nuts for this stuff. They pay an exorbitant price, and there are 8 different sorts that make up this family, and they come from different rivers, predominantly on the west coast. Not many people get to visit this country and try this when it's on, like it is now.
Well, I better eat some of that.
I reckon. This is whitebait, cooked in a couple of different ways. These are the traditional fritters, and this is the crisp fried, and this is the sautéed with a little bit of virgin oil and lemon and stuff, you know.
Yeah, because who would have thought, again, you know, if you were looking back 10 years ago in Arrowtown,
A population of 1,800 people.
I'm going to set up a really high-end, fabulous restaurant. Would have seemed particularly stupid.
We were told it was, actually.
Why do you think things have gone so crazy here, food and wine-wise?
You've got fantastic wine in the area. You've got some of the most extraordinary Pinot being grown down here. And as you know, Pinot only grows in certain places. I think there's always a symbiosis between, you know, a wine culture and a food culture. I think people that go to a destination for, you know, for wine tourism expect to be able to eat well.
This is fabulous.
Pleasure.
Cheers. I've had a fabulous time. One of the really lovely things to do in New Zealand is go riding on the beach. Pikiri Beach is the desirable one. So Flame is going to take me to my destination. And we'll see how it goes. Thank you.
That's all right.
I'm all ready. Okay. Hey, Flame, you wait.
Pikiri Beach on the Matakana coast is about an hour's drive from Auckland. This is Maori-owned land, and that's why it's still pristine and undeveloped.
Sorry, I'm so close. I can't control this thing very well.
I'll be a lot closer to women.
This is how you meant to be.
It's just beautiful. Got to introduce my friends here at Pikiri Beach. Lally and Charley Haddon, who've lived here for what, a couple of 1,000 years, you and your ancestors?
About that many.
And the beach, though, is a public beach.
Well, no, it's public that we allow them to walk on it.
Well, Charley, what a magnificent place to ride, eh? Tell me about the beach.
Well, it's very unchanged. There's no building on it yet. I hope it never, ever is.
Yeah, well, they should give you a medal in New Zealand for
I
keeping
think
it
so
beautiful.
too. I think so too, but they won't. They
Don't
won't.
you?
He'd look rather grand with a medal, wouldn't he?
I
He'd
know.
wear it on his belly button.
So when did you get the idea that people might enjoy riding along here?
In 1983, there was a downturn in farming. And for a few years before that, people had been asking me if they could ride my horses. And I don't like people riding my horse. So it was quite difficult, but we had 2 fat ponies that were the children's ponies, and we started to sell horse rides on the beach and guide them, and these 2 ponies bought 2 more, and that's how the business grew.
Well, to be able to ride a horse down a white sand beach with all these islands, I mean, it's really unbelievable. And this is an experience you can't have most places.
Do you think heaven will be any better than this?
I don't think so.
My kind of heaven will be just like it.
This is perfect.
New Zealand is like Tahiti, Switzerland, Canada, and England combined with all the boring bits removed. It is stunningly beautiful and so varied. Rotorua, in the middle of the North Island, is the geothermal center of the country.
The area is also very famous for trout fishing. You can fly fish in your waders on a river or head out to the middle of a lake. Clearwater Charters offer something a bit more elegant than a tinny with a 9 horsepower.
That's great. Yeah, that's
Captain Matt Horder is an Englishman who ran away from home to live amid the stark natural beauty of Lake Tarawera.
There's no roads through here. The only access to most of the lake is by boat. So it's really quite a remote part of New Zealand. It's great. And all of it's...
the crater of Mount Tarawera in the distance too, so you can see that.
The great volcano Mount Tarawera had a massive eruption in 1886, burying 3 Maori villages and the world-renowned pink and white terraces. Now the bush has grown back and the volcano is quiet, but it's still quite an explosive area. This is the only lake I know where you can both catch and cook a trout. You'll see what I mean.
The trout aren't native to New Zealand.
No, they're actually Canadian trout in here.
Come on!
Come on, Canadian
Come
trout.
on!
About 100,000 young trout stocked in the lake every year. But
So it's like a giant fish pond.
yeah,
So the
it's
point
great.
is, if I don't catch one, I really
We're doing something wrong.
look dumb.
No, it's not that easy. It's a big lake and they disappear quite far. They've got lots of hiding holes, so...
We're not going to catch a fish without a hook in the water. So we better get this out. How far out are you going to put it?
Well, it's more about how deep we would like to have it. So we'll be down at maybe 25 to 35 feet.
I want
That's
to
a big fish.
let you know I'm wearing my lucky fishing bracelet.
So hopefully we're in.
I got it in Wharekauhau. I think it's a salmon, but I hope it speaks to rainbow trout too.
Let's hope it's a trout.
The lines are set, the lures have sunk, we're trolling along, and now we wait. And bingo.
Okay, this one's good to go. So first thing we do is tighten up the...
Tension?
Yep. If he runs, just let him run.
I love that sound.
It's great, isn't it? You
So we
just
gotta keep
winding
the
him
tension
gently,
on.
Not too fast.
Okay, sorry, I was excited.
Yes, slow down.
He's a live one, you.
We'll just be swimming towards the boat with you at the moment.
Must be my lucky fish bracelet.
Yeah.
Come on.
There he
Oh,
is.
I see him.
He's on the surface.
Hello. Hey, you.
Yeah, that's a lovely rainbow.
Look at all. He's a beautiful rainbow. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's off to the hot water beach. Now remember what I said about catching and cooking fish in Tarawera? We can actually stick it in the sand and then eat it.
Where's the thermal activity?
Hey, girls. This is
Ooh, I can feel it in
you
the
feel it? You
sand,
be
eh?
careful. This is hot water beach. All along here is
Woo! Oh, that's really hot.
really thermal. Yes, if you squish your feet down into the sand, you'll find that they get really hot really fast.
Jeez, that's steaming
In fact, so hot
hot
that it may scald you, so
Yeah.
be careful. Yeah, we're just on the
Ouch.
shore. How's it going?
I'm gonna jump on your back in a minute. That's really hot.
It's kind of a game of beach Russian roulette because you never know when you're going to stand on a really hot bit next. Careful, it's hot here.
It is surprising how hot the
That
sand
stream's
is.
very hot, so don't
Yeah.
go that way.
Ah! Ouch! Ouch!
Is it better in there?
I'm not coming out. I'm gonna have to throw you the fish. That's steaming there. That's the steam coming off my feet.
Okay.
I guess so.
That's in. Yeah, you can come
Are you
this way.
sure it's
Yeah,
safe?
it's quite hot just on that edge there, so just step over that.
Okay,
That better?
done.
We just set the fish in there, just nicely in the water, cover him back over with the sand that came out. That'll do. We'll leave him there for 40 minutes, 50 minutes.
It is really sort of spooky and interesting to see. I mean, we know this is volcanic and we're on a fault and it's geothermal, and all of a sudden you step in it and you scald your toes and you just see all that steam rising up there. It's cooking my fish. It's wild.
That looks fun. We've got a hot tub in the lake.
Do you think it's done?
Yeah, I think it should be done now. Ooh, hot.
Jeez. Gee, it's incredible how hot this is.
Here's a hot fish. Find the end of my foil. It is.
How many layers of foil? It's like a Russian doll.
We can't risk it being infected with sand, so you just have to layer it all up with foil.
Whoa, cool. Can you just eat it with a knife?
Yeah, we'll just...
Oh, it's fabulous.
Can you imagine? Go out on a crater lake, catch a little rainbow trout, come and cook it in volcanic thermal sand, and it's so fresh, it's delicious.
Yeah, that's
Good cooking, Captain. Jeff Masson has written a new book called Slipping into Paradise, Why I Live in New Zealand. So we've grabbed him to find out why you live in New Zealand. Tell me about what happened to you.
Well, having been here, you know that I fell in love with it. It's very easy to fall in love with New Zealand. Physical beauty knocked me over right from the beginning. There's something extraordinary about it. It's a little bit like, it's a mixture, I think, of Hawaii and Canada, if you can imagine.
But some people think, well, New Zealand's sort of boring, isn't it? And there are a lot of sheep there, and it's so far away.
Well, culturally that could be true, but visually there's nothing boring about New Zealand. I mean, I never cease to be amazed at how extraordinarily beautiful it is, and in a sense how primitive it is. It's very much, sometimes you feel this is the way it must have looked 100 years ago or 200 years ago. I used to think of it as the secret country that nobody knew about, and that secret is out. You're here, we're here, and people are coming all the time
Well, are
now.
you stupid? Why
That's
would you
right.
write a book and tell the universe?
That's what all my neighbors say. Why on earth would you let it out? Don't tell anybody.
You're talking about paradise. Now, I mean, that's a
Yes, I mean, and
that's a strong word.
It's a very
paradise.
strong word. It's a very strong word. It's because I grew up partly in Hawaii, and I still have encoded in my genes this longing for something green, constantly green, and clear blue water, and to hear birds. I mean, it's one of the few places in the world where you still have that feeling that you are in paradise.
Jeffrey is not exaggerating. This country is spectacular. And if I were forced to pick the most extraordinary spot, the one that has me pinching myself and blinking as I look to make sure it's real, this would be it.
Look at this. It is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. It's iconic. Milford Sound, right at the bottom of the South Island of New Zealand. An extraordinary fjord. And if you want, you can helicopter here from Queenstown in about 15 minutes and hop in a kayak with a handsome guy like Roscoe Gowden here, who has a kayaking business and is the undisputed self-proclaimed mayor of Milford Sound.
That's right.
And you can tour around. I mean, you better speak for a second, Roscoe. I almost don't know what to say. It's the most beautiful place.
It is a beautiful spot, Valerie. And you can see my day at the office. This is where I go paddling most days.
Milford Sound is actually a fjord. It's an arm of the sea formed by glaciers about 15,000 years ago.
Still a lot of snow up there.
Yeah, that snow up there is a permanent glacier, Valerie, and that mountain up there is Mount Pembroke.
So that's always ice and snow up there.
That particular mountain, the only one in Milford, stays ice and snow-capped all year round. All these other mountains, including Mitre Peak up there on the left, loses its snow in the summer months.
This is the most photographed mountain in New Zealand, Mitre Peak. It's the highest sea cliff at 1,600 meters, and it gets its name because it's shaped like a bishop's mitre.
It's amazing when you're at shore and you look up at those cliffs, you get even more perspective. And they've got palm trees on them. The water is a color I don't think I've ever seen before.
It's just
So bluey green, but it's
is.
very dusky.
The clarity of the water here is amazing. You can look down often 10, 15 metres.
You can spend the day on the water kayaking or take a tour boat. This fjord is a protected marine reserve, so there's no fishing. There's lots of wildlife to see and some huge waterfalls.
Yeah, that's the spray. That's the spray you want on the face there. Woo-hoo-hoo! Is that amazing or what? That makes you feel alive. Woo!
We went right up to the Sterling Falls and this just breathes right in your face. Probably my hair is done by now, isn't it? Oh well, it was worth it. That was amazing.
I'm on top of Mount Victoria in windy Wellington. I'll give you the 30-second, 360-degree tour of this beautiful city from here. Behind me, the Cook Strait, one of the most dangerous bodies of water in the world, and just beyond that, the South Island. And as we walk along, this whole city is built on hills, volcanic mountains. In fact, it's on not one, but two fault lines, Pacific Rim and Indo-Australasian, which means it's sort of danger central. Beautiful harbor of Wellington, one of the safest and deepest in the world. And over here, you have a view of the downtown of the capital city of New Zealand. It's a cultural center and has more restaurants and cafes per capita than New York City. So it is my kind of town. This is a very livable and charming city with its sparkling harbor, rolling green hills, and Victorian buildings. It's the major travel crossroad between New Zealand's North and South Islands. Wellington is also a magnet for food lovers. This is beautiful Island Bay on the outskirts of sunny Wellington, and I'm here with these handsome and charming guys, Alistair Brown and Steve Logan, who have one of the best restaurants in New Zealand. It's in Wellington, called Logan Brown.
Sure.
I've just heard that. Is that true?
Yeah, well,
Or is it overrated?
We hate to say, but we hate to disagree.
yeah, no, that sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good.
But they've made me an offer I can't refuse, which is, we're standing here and Alistair's in this attractive body glove. And you're going to what?
Well, we're right here, as I said, on the south coast of Wellington, and the daylight today, it's pretty perfect for going out and gathering a bit of seafood, and we're very lucky that we still have ample seafood around the country, and so today we're going to go and get some what we call paua, which is the Maori name for abalone, and we're going to do a little saute and have a glass of wine here on the beach and taste a little bit of real New Zealand.
Well, I saw some wonderful quote about New Zealand begins with the sea and ends with the sea, that the surf is the final frontier. So off to the frontier.
Okay, here we go.
Chef
right.
Brown.
I like mussels too.
Yeah, right.
So would paua be like an exotic?
Oh yeah. I've
yeah.
never had paua.
Have a lot of
What is it
abalone.
like? Is it?
Well, it's actually a snail.
Ah, now, and why would you pick this to eat? Is it delicious?
Yeah, well, the Māori people, that was one of their staple diet. They've always eaten that. But now it's such a luxury item.
Is it?
Yeah. So what Brownie's going to bring in now is probably like a, street value or export value of $600, $700, $800. How'd you get on?
What to do?
Have we got a good feed?
Yeah. So this is what we're looking for.
Oh, that's huge. We're gonna eat this? Looks gross. Don't want to sound like a 5-year-old, but it looks gross. God, that's so gross.
Is that sucking onto your hand?
No.
Oh, it doesn't like you.
So to shuck them,
Yeah.
I'm just going to run my thumb underneath the shell, like that. Pull it back, like that. Leave the guts. So that's the paua.
That's the guts. Leave that to the fish. Yeah, look how beautiful the shell is.
This is a grill slinger barbecue tool system.
What a man.
Ready to go, locked and loaded. So we're slicing it really, really thinly, because we're going to cook it very, very quickly on a hot pan. And paua can be a little bit tough. It's a little bit like squid. You either cook it very, very quickly or you cook it a long time.
Dr. Brown?
About time. Thank you. Cheers,
Hey,
guys.
cheers, yeah, nice to meet you.
Really lovely to meet you, Valerie.
Cheers, Brownie.
Pleasure to have you here. The oil that we're using is a lime oil. You can saute a little bit of onion first, and put a little bit of garlic in there. That smells good. Finish off, can put a little bit of butter in there too, Logie. A couple of lobs of that. Give it a douse of lemon juice. So that's pretty much there now.
That's all the cooking it takes?
Yep.
That would take about a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
This is just beyond belief.
Just smells fantastic, man.
Straight out of the sea? What?
Here you go.
10 minutes ago.
That's absolutely delicious. I would have never have thought so when you put it on my hand.
Well, what we're doing here, I guess, is indicative to why we live in this country. I mean, we've discovered that we can grow and we can gather and we can catch and we can make wine. And, we're pretty happy down here and the way it is, and to be able to do this sort of thing, I mean, there are people doing this all over the country tonight on a night like tonight. So, we just love it, and it's heaven on earth, the lucky country.
Yeah.
Lucky country, lucky people.
Yeah.
Lucky me.
If having two of the best chefs dive for fresh paua and cook it up for you personally on a beach isn't fabulous enough, there's only one thing that might be, and this extreme indulgence can only be found in New Zealand. Choc is the name of an utterly decadent and gorgeous chocolate shop in Greytown, about an hour outside of Wellington. And it is run by these charming guys, Murray Langham, Roger Simpson, who are famous for these books, Chocolate Therapy, and the sequel, Hot Chocolate. What is this guy? Is it really the idea that chocolate will tell me about myself?
Your personality.
Yeah.
You are what you love. You are what you eat. So if you tell me your favourite chocolates, I can tell you about you.
All right then.
So what would be your first choice of a chocolate?
I think I would take, if I were taking one out of a box, I'd take the one that were solid chocolate.
Okay, then what would be your next choice? If you'd eaten that one.
Maybe Brazil nut, a nut.
A Brazil nut.
I like almonds, I like
We only have a
hazelnuts.
Brazil nut and a truffle at the moment, but we'll put that there. That's a Brazil nut.
Brazil nut. Maybe a hard caramel.
Hard caramel.
This is fun. And I like honeycomb, like the sponge
Honeycomb.
toffee inside of
Okay,
chocolate.
hokey pokey in this country,
Is
but
that what it's
honeycomb.
called? So here we have me in a nutshell, so to speak.
Okay, a dark chocolate person can look at life and laugh at life, stand back from life or jump back in. They don't take things too seriously, but they're looking ahead. The Brazil nut people are very much cultured, diplomatic. They go to the theatre, they dress well, they like to be seen at the right places with the right faces. Hard caramel people like to dot the I's, cross the T's, they make lists. And they
Love
like
lists. I love lists. I
Very
love-
logical. The Honeycomb Crunch have lots of ideas and they like to travel, but a lot of things will be on crumbly foundations, and that would annoy the hell out of the hard caramel logic side of you.
You might think that Murray is making this stuff up, but he takes the analysis and chocolate therapy very seriously. He says you can learn about people from what they love and what they leave.
And what's the chocolate that's left in the box that no one wants? That can be issues that you're not wanting to make up. You're not wanting to
I don't
address.
like the fruit ones. I don't like the gooey ones, don't like the liqueur ones. Hate the cherries. Because you've got all kinds of flavors that most people wouldn't think about.
We have 53 different flavours in these tablet chocolates.
Well, something with black pepper sounds delicious.
Lemon black pepper.
Lemon black pepper.
follow that up with lemongrass, sweet basil, smoked paprika, cardamom and white chocolate, and in a dark.
All right.
That's lime chili, absolutely biggest seller.
That's good. That one and the lemon pepper. Those are my faves. But who would have thought you'd be coming to New Zealand for the most extraordinary chocolate?
It's partly because in New Zealand we have found ourselves. We're so incredibly isolated from the rest of the world. To go to Europe, to go to Canada, to go to the States or South America, it's a big journey. So we've had to create it here. And that's a big part of our psyche. We can do it all. And that's also why our food is becoming so incredibly good.
What do you think when people say to you that they don't like chocolate?
They need to see a therapist immediately. They're in denial.
The character of New Zealand is friendly, down-to-earth, and egalitarian, and yet it has some of the most luxurious and high-end hotels in the world. The charming seaside town of Russell was the first capital of New Zealand and used to be filled with brothels and bars back in the 1800s. Now it is the picture of a quaint, old-fashioned resort town. That is, until you arrive at the Eagle's Nest Hotel, which is the ultimate in modern elegance, overlooking the Bay of Islands. Are you relaxed like Buddha and ready for this? Because this is what we like to call home in Russell. Just a small villa. I'll just show you around. You won't believe this. It's just pretty staggeringly perfect. Living room, fairly nice view. I'd say little kitchen, all stocked, ready for whatever. And if you want to follow me down the hall, I think I nabbed the best bedroom. Look at this. Just sort of perfection, little black and white, perfect bathroom. I'm just really, I'm in shock. It's so perfect. Come out here. It really just gets better. There's the deck with the hot tub, a little infinity swimming pool here, overlooking this magnificent view. Just before you hate me completely, there's just a little toast to this place and the Bay of Islands and the magnificent view here. This is just out of this world. Or maybe you're looking for something a little more traditional, like a farm. A very, very big farm.
Get him. Follow go, get him. Follow go, Jimmy. Follow go, Jimmy. Follow go, Jim. Follow go, Jim. Follow go. Come up here. Follow go, Jim. Follow go, Jim. Just a young one. Teenager.
They're impossible to control.
Yeah, they are.
This is a pretty extraordinary Kiwi experience at Wharekauhau Lodge, which is on over 5,000 acres of property, 12 miles of coastline overlooking Palliser Bay and the very southeast corner of the North Island. 8 minutes by helicopter from Wellington in this wilderness. And one of the amazing things you can do at this luxury lodge, in addition to play tennis, get massaged, et cetera, is hang out with Dave Walsh, who's the station manager, runs the sheep here, because this is a working sheep farm.
That's right, yes. It's always going. The guests enjoy coming out and mixing with what we're doing, seeing the sheep shearing and the dog demonstrations, and just basically seeing what we're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Because this has been a historic sheep farm since what, 1840?
That's right, yes.
Sheep are everywhere in New Zealand. There are way more sheep than people. They have over 6,000 of them at Wharekauhau, which are shorn of their famous wool twice a year and are otherwise very well taken care of by Dave and his dogs.
How many dogs have you got?
I've got 5. Yeah.
And
Five
you seem to
dogs.
be able to control them pretty brilliantly, Dave.
Yeah.
Except for Jim. You seem to be
Yeah.
having a little trouble with old
Yeah,
Wallago
young
Jim.
Jimmy. Young
Wallago Jimmy.
Wallago, yep. Jimmy, get in, Jim. Wallago, Jim. Wallago, Jim.
What does Wallago mean?
Means come to me.
Come to me. Now, and you can.
And
Can
he's
you
still
make?
out there.
I think you're fired.
Yeah, he is.
So can you make the sheep go that away?
Yes, we can.
I mean, I haven't really seen this except when I watched the movie Babe.
Get up here, buddy.
Such smart dogs, though, eh?
They are. They're very, very good and very loyal.
And they love doing this. This is like a blast for them,
Yep.
working dogs.
Easy.
Are we going to be okay standing here?
Yeah, we'll be right though.
Okay, I'm holding on to you if they go right through here.
Wallago, get up here.
I'm exhausted.
Right.
Yeah, I think I better go and have a glass of wine.
Sounds good.
I think you better have one too, or maybe a beer, okay?
Yeah.
We can leave the dogs in charge.
Tourist and adventure capital of New Zealand is Queenstown in the middle of the Southern Alps. And it's not just for bungee jumpers anymore.
I'm sitting with Louisa Patterson, who is also known as Choppy. She has a helicopter and adventure company here in Queenstown, which is called Over the Top, and does all kinds of extraordinary things. So what have you got planned?
Well, today we're going to do something very special. You're going to have a picnic in a place where numbers are strictly limited. Untouched world, pristine environment, amazing view.
Picnic on a peak.
Picnic on a peak.
Ah! Bye-bye.
Wharekauhau is huge.
That's amazing.
Champagne! That's it.
Our picnic spot is this rock face down here, right on the edge of it.
Overlooking Lake Wharekauhau.
Well, we call this spot the ledge. There's not very many flat spots on these hills, and this one is perfect for us.
What a view!
Wow, I must say this looks like a nice spot for a picnic.
Rimming your glass. I have another surprise for you.
Louisa started her career flying for Air New Zealand, and she handles a helicopter like an artist. She's also not bad as a waiter and a caterer.
Tomato, fabulous. I'll put your strawberry on.
Thank you very much.
Creamy brie. Plenty more.
We can at least clink tomato soup glasses since you can't drink. But this is the most beautiful picnic I've ever had. I mean, I'm pinching myself. I mean, you can't get used to this.
Dining at altitude, it is amazing. People do say to you, do you take it for granted? And one wonders sometimes that, you get home at the end of the day, but just look behind you. How could you possibly ever take this for granted?
As you can probably tell, I'm in love. I think New Zealand is the most beautiful country on the planet. And the much vaunted ingenuity of the human Kiwis who live here, born of their isolation, has now seen them creating the most delicious wine and food, luxury lodges, experiences beyond belief. And everything that is good about this small, clean, green country goes into it. Patience and sunshine and friendliness, which is why the results are over the top. I just want to show you my little cozy home away from home on Air New Zealand, flying from Los Angeles to Auckland. It is the coolest design. I've got my TV here, pops out, I watch that. Bedtime here. And just put your little mattress down, pillow. There's no one snoring in my face. Total privacy. And I'm gone.